today I'm going to be talking about Justin Baldoni, his transits, to take a look at what's going on during this legal battle, what's happening in his chart that's like creating such havoc and upheaval in his life, and maybe how this might play out for him if the transits are in his favor. I'm Luda, an astrologer and tarot reader of over 8 years. I've had the pleasure of guiding over 1,000 clients on their personal astrological journeys. And if you'd like your own personalized astrology reading, you can head on over to my Etsy shop. It's linked in the description below. There's currently a 20% off New Year's sale, so book that before it's gone. This is a limited time offer. So let's take a look at what's going on here. So this is not his birth chart in terms of time. We don't know his birth time, so this is really only going to be in terms of like aspects from the planets to his birth chart. So the first thing that's really calling to me is this Pluto Sun activation that's happening. Pluto's in Aquarius. Now, this Pluto Sun activation has been going on more or less since around, I want to say 2024 and late 2023. Pluto entered Aquarius briefly, retrograded back into Capricorn, and then officially entered Aquarius for the next 20 years back in November. So this has been in and out of his sun since, I want to say, 2023. The reason this matters is because Pluto is a planet that deals with power struggles, having to assert yourself, having to go fight, having even people with more power and authority try to subvert you. And his sun being here, the sun deals with your ego. It deals with your identity, your leadership. So it's really interesting that he's the director of a film. And now all of this stuff is coming out about how he was watching his premiere from the basement, about the ongoing battle that's been going on between him, Blake, and Ryan Reynolds on his own set, even though she was a producer. The way that they took their version of the movie to Sony and had their movie premiered instead of his cut. All of this is very Plutonic. It is feeling like your leadership, feeling like your creativity, the sun is your creative ability, is being eclipsed by superiors, by people with more power, by people even maybe abusing their power. Now, what this means for Justin is one of two things. A Pluto Sun activation can be your rise, but it will be a rise steeped in fire, right? Like, you know how they say that diamonds are built under pressure. If this goes in his favor, it would be a very intense, grueling fight to prove himself, right? Pluto and the sun is like the building of an empire or an emperor, but you need to burn things to the ground first, or there needs to be some kind of rebellion, right? Aquarius. You need to rebel. You need to stand against authority, even as an underdog, right? In Aquarius. And so a Pluto Sun conjunction, although this could be incredibly difficult, this has made Justin Baldoni infamous, right? Like, how many people have heard his name as much as they have now that this has begun, right? He is notorious now, right? He's known. And Pluto on the sun can do something like that. It can make you well known, but it can sometimes make you well known for the wrong reasons. But in the sign of Aquarius, if he was indeed wronged, Pluto will settle the score, especially on his sun. If he was indeed wronged, Pluto will uncover the truth, because Pluto, it uncovers things. It digs deep and it brings everything to the surface. And what has he done, right? So Blake started this whole thing with her complaint to file a lawsuit, and boom, he now has the opportunity, if he's in the right, assuming if there is truth to his side. Pluto doesn't really choose sides as much as it chooses truth, right? And so if he is in truth, the sun will illuminate and Pluto will uncover. There will be deep research and investigation, and I can see that he's doing that very diligently. I mean, now they're bringing Ryan into this. They're doing all kinds of investigations at Disney now. Pluto on the sun is like, okay, if you're right, then you need to get to the root. You need to bring it all to the surface, the good, the bad, and the ugly, which means Pluto's sun means if he has behaved in inappropriate ways, even if he was also wronged, right? Like, even if he was wronged, if he also crossed the line, that will also be revealed, right? Pluto doesn't choose you based on morality, right? It doesn't paint you in all good. It doesn't paint you in all bad. It paints you in morally gray. which means that with a Pluto Sun activation, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a little bit of an anti-hero edge to him, where maybe he was doing inappropriate things. Maybe we do see more text messages and more evidence that there's some truth to what Blake said about him. But maybe at the very same time, there were some very powerful dynamics going on. If he did not behave appropriately, he will be penalized for that. Pluto penalizes everybody equally. But it also means that if he was also wronged, they will also be penalized for their own sins, etc. You know? Now, the other thing that's happening, which I think actually kind of bodes well for him, is Jupiter is on his North Node right now. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean he will win, but it does mean that he might win the public favor. Gemini deals with communication, PR, media. What are people saying? And right now, Jupiter in Gemini, with a retrograde, it means that things could actually pan in his favor against all odds in terms of public opinion. With the North Node here, the North Node is his life purpose. It's his destiny. He is meant to be a storyteller. He is meant to be a director. He is meant to be a writer and a speaker, right? It's not surprising he has a podcast. It's not surprising he, makes books into movies. Very North Node and Gemini of him. With Jupiter on the North Node, this is amplifying his reach. It's amplifying his ability to make a dent in the world. Now, whether this dent is winning a lawsuit, not necessarily has to be true, but it does mean that even if he loses this lawsuit, he may gain a following. He may gain very loyal supporters. And this comes back to Pluto in Aquarius, which is something we need to understand, is that in order to be adored, you also need to be hated. In order to create true power, right? You cannot build an empire without also having, enemies. And so Pluto in Aquarius means that sometimes the most beloved people arise through polarization. So when people have to choose sides, when people have to either passionately love you or passionately hate you, that could be working in his favor in terms of his following maybe increasing, right? So that could be working for him. Saturn is currently in Pisces, which is actually working for him as well, because it's in trine to his Scorpio stellium. He's got Saturn, Mars, Pluto, and the moon here, which means that if he does play his cards right, justice could be on his side, right? If he plays his cards right, again, Scorpio, if he unearths evidence, if he is able to strategize, with Saturn here, use law and lawyers and people who know what they're talking about. Even with the Saturn Mars conjunction, I heard that he had hired Johnny Depp's PR firm. Saturn in Scorpio, Mars in Scorpio, Pluto in Scorpio, if he gets the right people on his side, he will have a stronger ability to win. Now, with Saturn in trine to Saturn and in trine to Pluto, these are still malefics, right? These are not nice planets. He's steeped in negative planets right now. Pluto, Saturn, the accusations against him are not to be taken lightly. This is a legal battle, right? This is a big freaking deal. But in the worst of situations, he could find some support, is what I'm saying, essentially. The way that can manifest is yeah, you might still be being sued, which sucks, but you might have the ability to get the right people on your side and the right team, the right powerful people to work with you, right? That could work in his favor. What else? The North Node's about to enter Pisces, and it's going to trine all of his Scorpio stuff too, which is also kind of good for him. But the North Node's a little bit of a volatile energy, and Uranus is entering Gemini later this year, which can throw a wrench into things. I don't think this is going to be a clean-cut win or a clean-cut not win. I think essentially what's really happening is Justin Baldoni is a lower-level director. He probably doesn't have a lot of money. He's also going against someone like Blake Lively, someone who has an enormous amount of connections and money. So even I think that the strength, what they're showing here in this chart, what's being shown in this chart to me, is that his strength is in that despite being an underdog with Sun in Aquarius, he's being given the tools, right, to be able to, at the very least, stand a fight, right? Because I'm sure in any other situation, he probably wouldn't have had the funds to even fight this, right? He might have just been painted this problematic director and probably not have been able to, change those claims because he might not have had the ammunition, the money, the pull to do so. But I do think that his strength is coming in the people, the authority and profession of the people behind him, as well as his guts, right? Sun, Pluto have the guts to fight. but this only will work if he's correct, right? If he's not lying, because Pluto does not discriminate. So his dirty laundry will be pulled up just as much as her dirty laundry will be pulled up. Both of them will be exposed. But I do feel like his transits are slightly more favorable, but they're still negative. I mean, anytime that you're in these kinds of situations in your life, I mean, you're going to be under the influence of very negative energies. And when I say negative energies, I mean the malefics are in play. And astrology doesn't make things happen. It just displays what is happening. And so Saturn being so present, Pluto being present, what is happening? He's being undermined. He's being attacked. He's being attacked through the legal system, right? We also have this Mars-Pluto opposition. It's going to come back later this year during the summer. So I think that this stuff might fall to the background for a while, and then it might kind of come up again during the summer. Whatever's happening between him and Blake, or there might be another blow thrown at him around the summer. A Mars-Pluto opposition on his sun. This is like he's being challenged. He might take a blow, a real big hit, maybe during the summer when Mars comes back to Leo and opposes his sun and Pluto right there again. All right, so those are the major transits that are going on for him. I'm going to pull some final cards and maybe like what's going on in the legal side of things for him at this time, maybe how things are looking for him. We have the Page of Wands. He's very feisty. Very feisty. Wow. Two of Pentacles. I think they're going really aggressive. We have the Sun. They're going really aggressive with trying to maybe market to media, right? Like leaking things to media, like maybe having a lot of like exposure with the Sun, trying to get his name out there, or his perspective out there, right? Kind of what they did with like the Megyn Kelly show, like having his lawyer go on there and like Page of Wands, basically be very forceful in communication. So I think their strategy right now is maybe they're trying to focus on the media side of things first. Throat chakra, what did I say? So this is really about, yeah, getting his voice heard, getting his perspective heard. They're just trying to get a mic on him. We have disruption, the Tower, and we have the suffering inside. This is honestly a really negative experience for him. I think he's a very sturdy guy. That's the difference between him and Blake, is that Blake has been sheltered a lot of her life, and he's steeped in fire. A Moon, Pluto, Mars, Saturn conjunction in Scorpio is a very strong man. This is someone who's been through a lot. This is someone who has experienced traumas or violence, or even in like just has that strategic thick skin that you need to have to climb. And so even though this is incredibly difficult for him, I do think that he's a little bit better at fighting, if you will, than Blake is. Obviously, you know, he's probably had to fight for every opportunity he has, considering he probably didn't have much pull in the industry for a while. So he might be a little bit more adept at maybe navigating the emotional toll of this and maybe keeping his head on straight during this whole process. But it's, you know, this is a lose-lose situation for everyone involved. All right, so that's all I have for you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.